because there's indications that half of American college students don't want to receive psychological counseling. So they were not going, or they would go once and say, it's not for me, or the counselor couldn't relate to the counselor. So I felt there had to be another way to do that.
Maybe that's an opportunity for the Buddhist organization. So instead of saying, hey, you have a mental problem, you should just come and, calm your mind.
Well, I come from my field of psychology, which is a social science, but everybody knows all psychologists have penis envy, right? And physics envy. That's a different joke. We all have physics envy that we're trying to pretend we're a science like physics. But I find I like to pose the issue to them of mastery versus mystery. And to the students that we're all engaged in this mastery and control. And then we need to, at some point, surrender and give up and say that there are places in life in which I need to also let go, and I need to embrace the mystery, because there's going to be power in embracing that mystery too.
I was just going to say about places and spaces for people to go to, and we have many Buddhist temples here in the Bay Area, and for example, Dharma College is right in the heart of downtown Berkeley, where we have the Berkeley High Campus just on the corner, and we see hundreds of students come out every day, and if we can just extend a welcoming space for them where they can sit in a circle and take time to pause, take time to just reflect inwards. So I think that we have great opportunity here in this assembly where we have the traditional temples, and I know that many of them do open up their temples to the youth. But if we can provide a welcoming space for them to enter in and create programs where we're linking in with our local high schools and being a place where the youth can feel comfortable and fun, and that there's not a barrier to entry.
I think that's a wonderful idea, because we can actually create, at least try it out as the Bay Area model, and maybe other universities will adopt it as well, so that not only, as part of our goal is to reach out, engage, and get more people involved, or at least learning more about Buddhism. I think that's a wonderful idea, Wangmo.
I'd just like to also say that we also have to find ways to communicate to this generation, and it's a language, and it's a way, I don't know if we have it yet. I'm a parent, and I find myself, even though we have Buddhist symbols and Buddhist experiences, I remember I took my kids to Bodh Gaya, to the seat of enlightenment, and had my daughter sitting under the Bodhi tree and just letting her experience the taste of just stillness, of what that meant to be under this sacred Bodhi tree where this great being was fully enlightened. And I think she still carries that experience in her heart. And if we can give those kinds of experiences to them, to know that they have this extraordinary potential being, they don't have to become a victim of this rat race cycle, and that they have more than just grades. They have more than just this competitive samsara way. That there's a lot more there.
Lou, do you have any comment?
I really worry about social action in Buddhism. When people start identifying the people that they're helping as poor, oppressed, etc., we're already putting them into a box. We're identifying them as people with troubles and problems. So I wish that Buddhism would follow its own teachings, which says whatever you do for all sentient beings. The Buddhists never say that you split those up. They constantly say all sentient beings. So it's like helping someone who needs food. It's not because they're poor or that we give them food. We give them food because they, like us, need food to live. There's nothing unusual about needing food. It's human. Nothing unusual about needing a house. Some support over your head. That's just human. So we need to stop that kind of appropriation of what I think has been a failure of the Western social service, in which it makes people furious. It makes them angry. They are put down. And I see people standing outside a church to go in and eat lunch, and I think, why are they putting them on the sidewalk where they're identified as needy people? They should be sitting inside. They should be treated with the fact that they are just human and they need to eat. That's all. So I worry about this issue, and the same with our young people. I think we have to be very careful not to identify them by their needs and their problems. They're just growing up as humans, and what they face is a human issue, and we need to treat them. I think, I'm not saying what you don't, I'm just looking at you. We just need to treat people with this kind of absolute respect, because really what we are faced in this world is we are brothers and sisters in suffering. We are brothers and sisters with the three great messengers: illness, old age, and death. We all share this. So we can be compassionate with one another, because this is what we face. And we should try to give as much dignity as we can.
When it comes back to the education of students, before I did DRBU, I actually taught at Berkeley High for 40 years. From 69 to 09, I taught at Berkeley High because that was the place the whole society came together, and it was really interesting, and higher education's interesting, but not that interesting. The thing you learn from, I think I had 1/3 of all the graduates from Berkeley High for 40 years, and my classes as a senior or something, like 9,000 students or something. And the amazing thing is all of the students basically have the same issues of the same. There's no difference when you get to the level of when there's respect, when there's mutual respect and so forth. What I want to say about the bringing it to education is the one thing a lot of the classes when I had an opportunity in the pedagogy, I brought them over to the monastery because I actually lived over in the Berkeley Buddhist monastery at the same time. So I had a little bit of advantage, and I could bring them over there for a week or two to do a little meditation. And every one of them, if they got to do a little bit of meditation, they got to actually find the ground of their own mind that they could settle in and relax, and didn't need to be competitive, and didn't need to do all this stuff. And the surprise of that, it was a shocking surprise to every adolescent that they were okay in their own head, just paying attention to their own mind. And actually, it's a very simple thing. This is not a metaphysical, it's a purely secular thing. The next thing on our relationship to each other, generosity, for instance, the first paramita of the Mahayana. Generosity is not just something that's emanating from other people. It feels better in yourself. So in an adolescent, you need to take a person back to the feeling of generosity versus uptight, competitive. How does it feel in the gut and the heart to be competitive and constantly judgmental and so forth and irritated versus being generous and hearted? It feels different. So you have to take it on an adolescent level, you have to take it back to the feelings that people are actually feeling, because that's where they are these days, and not to the abstraction. So both the feeling of what it feels like to be generous and the mind observing that. The key is the feeling, the actual a sense of the feeling of generosity, taking them back to that, and then the ability to observe the feeling of that's the secondary quality of that. Every adolescent, that actually doesn't take that long to teach humans, because that's their natural state, you know, so.
Great. So with the remaining time we have, I would like to offer each one of the panelists just to sum it up, and what is your advise or your view going forward on how we can, I know we can draw out all the grades and all the exams, but what can we do in the meantime? Who would like to go first?
Well, I would say for the Buddhists, they always say there is a way to test your wisdom. And the test for your wisdom is that when you have an insight, does it produce compassion? If it doesn't, the insight is of no value.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to just open up our space and just provide a place where we can bring together experts and parents and young people in the heart of downtown Berkeley to sit together and engage with these topics and just see where it goes. There's no, the first step is just trying and to be open to that dialogue and that conversation. I don't know if we have the answers yet, but if we can provide the space and the place for that to occur and the willingness and a commitment to that, I think we can go in new directions.
That's wonderful. We're going to follow that. Thank you. Stephen?
In all of my classes, we simply sit in a circle, and when the students first come in, it's like a living room atmosphere, and they say, oh, it's a living room, it's really relaxed, and then they realize they have to face other students, and there's no desks, and so they got to take out their cell phones. But what I ask people to do is to do the simply acknowledge each other's presence, and there's a beautiful Zulu word, sawubona, and it means I see you, and it's a greeting, but it has this very deep sense of I am not just myself as an isolated individual encapsulated in this flesh, but I am with my ancestors. I'm part of something greater. And when I see you, you are also not just this one individual alone in the universe, but you are part of something greater. And as we acknowledge each other, we are respecting each other. Respect in this Latin root simply means to see. So we're respecting each other and we're bringing each other into existence. So we do this as a ritual, and I would like to, everything that we do is also experiential. Make it feelings, make it into your, experience it, embody it. And so I'd just like to ask you, could you turn to somebody and share that ritual? I see you, and the other person says, I am here. And then you might go back and forth once.
Trời thành cha mày anh nhung mơ thật tế nhưng thà mày mơ khơi nhom nhom mơ khơi này chẳng á ngay cái bắp đúng không chắp sân em thành người bắp.
You know, on behalf of this, I think I said, I think we have to bring education on all levels back to what it's actually about, which is back to the level of the quality of human experience, the quality of community, the quality of our relationship to the environment, because we have no choice. Anything that's going in a different direction is committing, at this point, is committing suicide, both collectively and individually. The anxiety of the individual comes from that, and the collective disaster comes from that. From just a Buddhist on another level, I would really like to see us as a whole, all of us come together and really build and bring to the modern world the incredible wisdom all the way from the Pali Abhidharma through the Yogacara, through the whole. We have a mass of text and knowledge that has not been known to most people, not even 1%, of the totality of what the Buddha Dharma has to bring. And I think on another level, bringing that forward in some kind of way that people have a better access. A lot of translation to Lu and other people have done it, started that. But even in the academic world where we have a lot of that text, it isn't yet found its way to where a place that practice all of it. So I guess I would hope that we can bring all the work that everyone's doing on all the levels in the last 30 or 40 years of bringing Buddhist texts into a place of practice, wherever that is, and make it accessible to all ages in a way that's appropriate to the age. So that would be my hope.
Well, thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause.